Ladies and gentlemen, life often presents us with choices that challenge our emotions, our sense of self, and our strength to stand alone. One of those choices is learning to detach, to step back from situations and people that do not honor your value. This isn't about revenge or retribution. It's about self-respect and the quiet power of realizing you don't have to stay where you aren't celebrated. Today, we'll explore why your absence can speak louder than your words ever could, and why removing yourself from certain spaces can become the most profound statement you'll ever make. There's a shift that happens when you decide to prioritize yourself over the comfort of others. It's a shift that isn't loud or dramatic. It's silent, intentional, and above all, powerful. The moment you step away from situations where your energy is taken for granted, you begin to change the dynamics of the relationships around you. Why? Because your absence disrupts the routine. When people have become accustomed to your availability, to your willingness to endure, they stop appreciating the value of what you bring. But when you step back, when you remove yourself, it's as though the air changes. The silence you leave behind forces reflection. In the void of your presence, people are faced with questions they may have avoided. They begin to notice the weight of what they lost. But more importantly, you gain clarity. You begin to see how much of your energy was being poured into spaces that didn't reciprocate. And in that clarity, a profound realization emerges. You were never the one who needed them as much as they needed you. Understand this: silence is not just a reaction, it's a strategy. When words no longer communicate your worth, absence will. It allows others to witness the difference between what life feels like with you in it and what it feels like without you. And here's the most profound truth: absence is a mirror. It reflects back to others their own actions and choices. Think of it this way: we all have a reservoir of energy, time, and emotional capacity. When you give endlessly without receiving, that reservoir drains. Walking away isn't about punishment, it's about preservation. It's about reclaiming that energy, that time, and directing it towards something that honors your growth. And here's where it becomes transformative. As you detach, you elevate. You begin to realize that the peace you created in your absence is more valuable than the chaos you endured in their presence. But let me be clear, this isn't about bitterness or a desire to harm others emotionally. It's about freedom. It's about understanding that your worth isn't tied to someone else's ability to recognize it. When you ghost them, when you choose to step back, it's not just their punishment, it's your liberation. And the beauty of this process is that it's subtle yet undeniable. They'll see it. They'll feel it. And while they wrestle with the void left behind, you'll find yourself thriving in the space you've created for growth. So remember, your silence is not weakness. Your absence is not defeat. It's a testament to your self-worth and a reminder that you have it, your narrative. Your absence holds power when your presence has been undervalued. This truth resonates deeply, though it often takes a moment of stepping away to fully understand its significance. When you are consistently present in someone's life, offering your time, energy, and attention, there's a natural tendency for others to take it for granted. It's not always malicious. Sometimes it's simply human nature. People grow accustomed to what is readily available, and they lose sight of its value. Your constant availability becomes an expectation rather than a gift. Imagine pouring water into a glass that has no bottom. No matter how much you give, it flows out unnoticed and unappreciated. But what happens when the pouring stops? Suddenly there's an awareness of the emptiness. That's the moment when your absence becomes more noticeable than your presence ever was. It's not the loss of the water itself that shocks, it's the realization that the steady flow they assumed would never end is no longer there. This is the power of your absence. When you step back from spaces where your value has been overlooked, it forces those around you to confront the void you leave behind. This absence is not just physical, it's emotional, mental, and energetic. It's the absence of your unique contributions, your unwavering support, and the stability you provided, often without recognition. People begin to feel the weight of what they once had, and the stark contrast of its absence brings forth a reckoning. What's powerful about this process is its silent nature. You don't have to announce your departure or explain yourself. There's no need for dramatic declarations or pointed words. Your absence speaks volumes on its own. It carries an energy that lingers, one that others cannot ignore. They are left to sit with the consequences of their actions or inactions, and the impact of their failure to appreciate you becomes unavoidable. It's a natural, organic unfolding of awareness that only happens when the noise of your presence has been removed. But here's the deeper layer. This shift isn't just about them. It's also about you. When you choose to step back, you reclaim your power. You remove yourself from situations that drain your energy and redirect that energy inward. You begin to see yourself clearly beyond the lens of how others have treated you. This clarity allows you to understand your true worth, independent of anyone else's validation. You recognize that being undervalued isn't a reflection of your shortcomings, but of the limitations of those who failed to see your value. This act of stepping away also creates boundaries. It draws a line between what you will accept and what you won't, signaling to the universe and to yourself that you are no longer willing to settle for less than what you deserve. Boundaries aren't just about keeping others out, they're about keeping your energy intact, protecting your peace, and ensuring that you only engage in relationships and spaces that align with your growth. Emotional detachment is a form of reclaiming your energy and setting boundaries. It is an act of self-preservation that often feels counterintuitive at first. Society tends to romanticize attachment, equating it with love, loyalty, or commitment. But the truth is, not all attachments serve your growth. Some connections weigh you down, cloud your judgment, and drain your emotional reserves. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring or lose compassion. It means you prioritize your well-being over the need to be tethered to situations or people that disrupt your peace. Detaching emotionally is not an easy process. It requires a conscious decision to stop reacting, to stop allowing external circumstances to dictate your internal state. It means you step away from the pull of constant engagement, the need to fix, or the urge to control. By doing so, you reclaim your energy, the essence of who you are, which may have been scattered across countless interactions and situations. When you detach, you gather that energy and refocus it inward where it can fuel your growth instead of being siphoned off by external demands. This act of detachment is not about building walls, but creating space. It is about recognizing the difference between connection and codependency, between love and attachment, and between responsibility and self-sacrifice. Emotional detachment allows you to maintain a healthy perspective, one that is not clouded by the emotional highs and lows of other people's actions. It frees you from being controlled by the approval, validation, or behavior of others. You become grounded, centered in your own energy, and aware that your peace is not something to be negotiated or compromised. What makes detachment so powerful is its ability to shift the dynamics of any relationship or situation. When you stop reacting emotionally, you change the energy you bring to the interaction. It forces others to adjust, to confront their own behavior, and to take responsibility for their actions. Your detachment becomes a mirror, reflecting back their inability to draw emotional responses from you. This often leads to a deeper awareness on their part, though it's not something you control or aim to achieve. Detachment is for you, not for them. Detachment also sets boundaries in a way that words never can. It communicates without explanation that you value yourself enough to step back when necessary. Boundaries created through detachment are not about punishing others, they are about protecting yourself. They say, this is where I end and you begin. This is how I choose to preserve my energy. And because these boundaries are rooted in action, not words, they are more effective and lasting. This process of emotional detachment transforms your inner world. It allows you to observe rather than absorb, to witness situations without being consumed by them. You start to realize that your worth is not determined by how much you endure or how much you give to others. Detachment creates clarity, a sense of freedom, and the ability to make choices that align with your highest self. It is not a withdrawal from life, but an embrace of your own power. People only realize the value of what they had when it's no longer available. This is an undeniable truth rooted in human nature. Familiarity often breeds complacency, and when something or someone is always present, their significance tends to fade into the background. It's not necessarily intentional, it's simply how people operate when they take things for granted. The mind, accustomed to patterns, begins to overlook what seems constant, reliable, and unwavering. Yet when that constant is removed, the absence creates a void that cannot be ignored, forcing a reevaluation of what was once so readily available. This realization typically occurs in the quiet moments after something is lost. It might be a friend who was always there to listen, a partner who consistently supported through challenges, or a colleague who handled things without complaint. When that presence is gone, the ripple effects begin to unfold. The little acts of kindness, the unwavering patience, and the silent contributions become glaringly obvious. Suddenly, what was once overlooked becomes the centerpiece of reflection, leaving those left behind to confront their own lack of awareness. What's profound about this process is how absence magnifies value. When people are no longer able to rely on something they previously ignored, they feel the weight of its loss. The void becomes a space filled with questions. How did I not see what they brought into my life? Why didn't I appreciate them when they were here? These questions can be uncomfortable, but they are necessary for growth and understanding. The absence forces them to confront their own behavior, their assumptions, and their failure to acknowledge the importance of what they have. This phenomenon doesn't just apply to relationships, it applies to opportunities, experiences, and even time. Consider how often people fail to appreciate a moment until it becomes a memory. They rush through life, assuming there will always be more time, more chances, and more opportunities. It's only when the moment has passed that its significance becomes clear. This retrospective clarity is often tinged with regret, but it also serves as a powerful reminder to be more present, more mindful, and more grateful in the future. When people realize the value of what they've lost, it often comes with a sense of longing. They wish they could go back and change how they acted, how they treated someone, or how they spent their time. But by the time this awareness sets in, it's usually too late. The opportunity to appreciate what they had is gone, regret or stark reality of what they no longer possess. This realization is a powerful teacher, albeit a painful one. Absence has a unique way of breaking through the noise of everyday life. It strips away the distractions and forces people to face the truth. They begin to understand that what seemed ordinary was, in fact, extraordinary. It's a profound reminder that the things and people we take for granted are often the ones that matter most. Through absence, clarity emerges, revealing the true weight of what was lost. When you remove yourself from situations that drain you or relationships that fail to honor your worth, you create an undeniable shift in energy. This absence disrupts the dynamic in a way that forces others to confront the reality of their behavior and its consequences. It's not about revenge or proving a point, it's about reclaiming your energy and giving space for reflection. The absence of your energy leaves a void, and in that void, a powerful transformation begins. It is in this quiet absence that the most profound realizations often occur. Energy is a resource, and it is finite. When you constantly pour it into people or situations that don't reciprocate or nurture it, you are left depleted. Others may not realize how much of your energy they relied on until it's no longer there. Your presence might have been a stabilizing force, a source of encouragement, or even an emotional anchor. When that energy is removed, they are left to face the imbalance that was once masked by your constant giving. This disruption creates a powerful ripple effect, one that cannot be ignored. By stepping back, you break the cycle of overextension and create space for others to take responsibility for their part in the dynamic. When you are always present to fix, support, or provide, it's easy for others to become complacent. They may come to expect your energy as a given without understanding the toll it takes on you. Your absence becomes a mirror reflecting back their dependence and their lack of contribution. It forces them to confront the void left behind and to question why it exists. This process of stepping back is also an act of self-respect. It's a way of honoring your boundaries and acknowledging your own needs. When you choose to remove yourself, you send a clear message not through words, but through action. The message is that your energy is valuable, and it will no longer be given freely to those who do not appreciate or reciprocate it. This silent statement carries more weight than any argument or explanation ever could. It shifts the focus from external validation to internal empowerment. The absence of your energy creates an opportunity for others to grow. It's a moment of reckoning that can inspire change, though not always in the way you might expect. Some people may realize the value of what they've lost and make genuine efforts to improve. Others may not, and that's okay. Their response is not your responsibility. What matters is that you've taken a step to protect your energy and realign with your own sense of self-worth. This act of pulling back is not a withdrawal from connection, but a recalibration of it. It's about ensuring that your energy is given in ways that uplift and empower you rather than deplete you. By removing yourself, you create a space for clarity, for yourself, and for others. It's in this absence that the true dynamics of relationships and situations are revealed, allowing for deeper understanding and ultimately transformation. Silence can be a powerful response, more impactful than any argument or confrontation. When you choose to disengage and let your absence speak for itself, you shift the dynamic in a way that words never could. Silence holds a unique weight. It creates a space for reflection, both for you and for others. In this space, truths emerge. Without the noise of explanations or defenses, people are left to face their own thoughts, their own behaviors, and the consequences of their actions. Silence is not an act of weakness, it's an act of strength and self control, a decision to conserve your energy rather than waste on battles that do not serve your growth. When you step back and embrace silence, you remove yourself from the emotional turbulence of reactive engagement. You are no longer feeding the cycle of arguments, justifications, or misunderstandings. Instead, you create a boundary that is unspoken but deeply felt. This boundary communicates without a single word that your energy is no longer available to be taken for granted or drained. Silence becomes your armor, not in a defensive way, but as a means of self-preservation. It allows you to maintain your peace and focus on your own growth, free from the distractions of unnecessary conflict. For those on the receiving end of your silence, the effect is often profound. Silence forces them to sit with themselves, to process the absence of your voice, your presence, and your energy. This is where accountability begins to surface. Without the option to deflect or argue, they are left with their own thoughts and emotions. They begin to question their behavior, their choices, and the reasons for your silence. It is in this reflective space that the seeds of awareness are planted. Your silence becomes a catalyst for introspection, whether they acknowledge it or not. The beauty of silence is its neutrality. It does not accuse, blame, or defend. It simply exists, and in its existence, it holds immense power. Silence cannot be argued with. It cannot be twisted or misinterpreted. It is a clear and unwavering statement that speaks volumes without uttering a word. It says, I value my peace more than this argument. I choose myself over this chaos. This unspoken declaration often carries more weight than any carefully crafted response ever could. It shows strength, restraint, and a deep sense of self-worth. Silence also gives you the space to heal and reflect. By removing yourself from draining situations, you allow your energy to recalibrate. In the quiet, you reconnect with your own needs, desires, and boundaries. You gain clarity about what truly matters and what does not deserve your attention. This clarity becomes your guide, helping you navigate relationships and situations with greater awareness and intention. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of inner peace and self-respect. For those who undervalued or took you for granted, your silence often becomes the loudest wake-up call. It forces them to confront the void left by your absence and to grapple with the impact of their actions. They are left to wonder, to reflect, and perhaps to grow. But regardless of their response, your silence remains a testament to your strength, your boundaries, and your commitment to your own well-being. In the stillness of silence, you reclaim your power, proving that sometimes the most profound statements are the ones left unsaid. In the end, the power of removing yourself and embracing silence lies in the profound shift it creates, not just for others, but for you. Absence becomes a mirror that reflects truth, and silence becomes a language that speaks louder than words. When you step away from dynamics that drain you or fail to honor your worth, you reclaim your energy, your focus, and your peace. You allow others to confront their actions, face their own void, and recognize what they've lost. Most importantly, you create space for your own growth, ensuring that your time and energy are directed toward what uplifts and empowers you. This is not an act of revenge, but a declaration of self-worth. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation and empowerment, proving that your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. By choosing to walk away and letting your absence be felt, you not only protect your peace, but also invite clarity and transformation into your life. In doing so, you remind the world and yourself of the value and strength that lies in prioritizing your well-being above all else. Thank you.